Have you ever heard that 401k matches are free money? Well, I disagree with that, and I'm going to tell you why. Hello everyone, my name is Zach, and welcome to On Cash Flow, where I help you become a master of your own cash flow. Now let's get started. Here's the simple and quick and easy reason on why 401k matches are not free money. Well, you have to work in order to get them, right? So by definition, they are not free money. Okay, maybe that's a little bit obvious, but I promise I'm going to expand a little bit more on that. 401k matches are part of your overall compensation. They are not free money. They are part of what you are agreed to work for and what the employer has agreed to pay you. And it's up to you on whether or not you are going to take that, because this is a way that an employer can potentially pay you less out of pocket by offering this as a benefit. And that's why I think that there is nothing free about it, right? You have to earn it. You have to work for it in order to get that match. But the problem here is that everyone says that you need to be taking that match. It's free money. You absolutely have to be taking that match. But I don't think that is always going to be the situation. You should definitely not be always taking that match. But first, what is the average 401k match? Well, according to Vanguard, they did a study called How America Saves. They found that the median match is around 4%. 52% of participants had a match between 3 and 4.99%. And if you want to know if your 401k plan is exceptional, which means it's like way above the rest, then if your plan is offering 7% or more, then they are an exceptional plan, because only 8% of participants had access to a match that was 7% or above. So if you're in that boat, then count yourself lucky. And by the way, while I'm talking a little bit about average 401k data here, I did another video where I go much more in depth on this Vanguard study. And if you're curious to see how your 401k matches up with most other people's 401ks, then definitely watch that video, okay? I'll mention it again at the end of this video. But my point in this video is that it is not free money. But should you still take it? I'd say really, in most circumstances, most likely yes, that you should take that 401k match, but not always. Why should you most likely take that 401k match? Because the way that you should probably be looking at a 401k match is a return on your investment, right? So you put money into this 401k account and it's going to get matched at whatever percentage, most likely 50% or 100%. And you can look at that as in year one, my return on my investment is 50% or 100%. Here are the typical match formulas that Vanguard found in that study. So a typical match formula is 50% on the first 6% of your contribution, which is equal to 3% total. So if I were looking at this, I would say, okay, for every 1% that I contribute to my 401k, up to 6%, I get a 50% ROI in year one. But even if you have an amazing 50% ROI in year one, maybe you still shouldn't take that 401k match, because there are a few reasons on why you might not want to do that. First off, one thing you need to consider is how long will it take you to be vested? Because a 401k match is really only valuable if you get to keep it when you leave the employer, right? So if you forfeit it when you leave, then what's the point of getting that 401k match if you don't get to keep it? Now, luckily, what Vanguard found in their study was that most plans, 50% of them, vest immediately. But that means that 50% of them did not vest immediately. Vesting is basically where that match becomes yours, right? It becomes yours no matter what. Some 401ks have time that you have to wait until you start vesting, where you become eligible to keep that 401k match. For example, some of them might say, well, you have to work for us for 1 year before you get to keep that. Or maybe you have to work for 2 years or 3 years, or maybe even more. You can see from this chart from Vanguard on how long it takes for you to vest in many different 401k plans that they studied. Let's say you took a really good job. However, you had to move in order to take it, and you didn't want to stay in that location forever. Maybe you only wanted to work at this job because it was paying high for only 1 year, and then you wanted to move back to where you're from or move somewhere else. But they had a vesting requirement that you have to work there for 2 years before you become vested for that 401k match. Now, if you plan on only working there for 1 year, but it takes 2 years for you to become vested, then that 401k match is essentially useless to you. But there are certainly other reasons why, even if you are vested, you might not want to invest in that 401k match. Before we get on to the next reason, I just want to say really quick that I put a lot of research and effort into these videos, and it would really help me out, and I would really appreciate it if you just took a quick second and hit the like button on this video. Thank you very much. Another reason why you might not want to take that 401k match is that you could just have a shitty, excuse my language, you could just have a crappy 401k. Not all 401k plans are created equally. Some of them are really good. Some of them are pretty good, and some of them are just bleh. I have personally seen, unfortunately, friends and family with really bad 401ks. These 401k options are absolutely dreadful, to say the least. They have very high fees. They don't have very good options, or for whatever other reason, most likely the fees, that the 401k plan is just not very good at all. And I'm not even exaggerating here. I've even seen a plan for someone in my family that has a plan that offers an index fund, which is good, but for some odd reason, that same index fund charges a 0.5% fee. Now, there is literally no reason why that should cost 0.5% when Vanguard pretty much offers the exact same thing for 0.03%. And we're talking about a total US stock market index fund. It tracks the exact same index. It's going to have the exact same components within the fund, but one charges 0.5% because it's in a crappy 401k and one charges 0.03% because it's offered by Vanguard. There can be a significant difference on your wealth growth over time by paying 0.5% versus 0.03%. If you're investing in those funds and you pay 0.03% fee, it costs you $27,567 over 40 years. That's how much the Vanguard fund would cost you over 40 years. But wait till you see the 0.5%. If you were having that same exact fund and you paid 0.5% in fees per year, then you would pay $429,444 over 40 years of investing. Almost $500,000 of wealth lost because of that 0.5% fee. And this is the index fund, mind you. There were other funds in there that charge over 1% in fee management. And they're probably not even going to match or exceed the results of the total stock market index fund in probably 9 out of 10 cases. So the moral of the story is, if you have a crappy 401k, it still might not even be worth it for you to take that 50% match. It might not be worth it for you to take that 100% match if you can instead put your money to better use and pay less fees elsewhere. Now, going beyond having a crappy 401k in the first place, some plans just have crappy 401k matches where they might not be worth it for you. This is probably a lot less common, but still some people are affected by it. So according to that Vanguard study, 15% of participants only had access to a match that was less than 2%. How sad. There's also the possibility that the 401k match that you would receive is only going to be in your company's stock, which is not as good as, cash going into the account that you can invest on your own, because you already are working at this place, right? You already have a lot invested in this place because you're deriving your income from this company. Why would you also want to have a significant amount of your investment portfolio invested in that company stock as well? That's a double whammy there when it comes to not diversifying. You probably most likely should and want to diversify your investments. And if your match is in company stock, maybe there's a holding period that you have to wait for. Maybe you have to wait until you're vested. It just depends on the 401k rules. But it could definitely be a pain in the butt if your match is in company stock and you're unable to diversify it. Maybe you're different. Maybe you pay attention to your 401k. Maybe you make sure that you're diversified. Maybe you make sure you're paying low fees. But for every one of you that's out there that does pay attention, there are 99 people out there that are not paying attention. And they're just letting the 401k do what it's going to do. And so if they're getting a match because they heard, hey, you always get that match, but that match happens to be in their company stock, and they're also deriving their income from that company, then they are not going to be diversified. They're not going to be paying attention to their 401k, and that means that they are going to be undiversified. Their investment results might be inferior to if they were diversified in a broad-based index fund, and that means they probably would have been better off not taking that 401k match. And instead, if they were paying attention, they could have invested it in an IRA, they could have chosen what to invest in, and they probably would have paid more attention because they were actively passively investing. And now, wow, that was a mouthful, certainly. But this does lead me to the big question. I want to know from you in the comments below. What is your 401k like at your workplace? Do you prioritize your 401k match? Do you have a good match? Are your options good in your 401k? Please let me know in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear what you have to say. And now there is another scenario on which I do want to illustrate maybe the 401k match is not good for you. What if you only have a certain amount to save or invest? Maybe you can only invest, and I say only, but $500 per month. Would you be better off putting that in your 401k, or would you be better off putting that possibly into an IRA or some other kind of investment? Well, obviously it depends. While a 401k does have a very high amount that you can invest, currently in 2024 tax year, it's going to be $23,000. And while an IRA only allows you to invest $7,000 in 2024, if you are investing $500 per month, that's only $6,000 per year. So would you be better off in the IRA or in the 401k with a match? Well, it depends, obviously, if you have a good 401k, a crappy 401k, if your match is good or if it's not good, if it's getting matched in company stock or if it's getting matched in cash or whatever. But still, the amount of options and the control that you have over your investments with it being in an IRA, and specifically in this case, it could be a Roth IRA, it might actually be better for you to choose that Roth IRA if you're investing $500 per month rather than your company 401k. Let's say if it's a traditional 401k and it offers a match. It might still be better for you in the long run to choose that Roth IRA if you have only $500 per month to invest. Another scenario in which you might forego investing in your 401k for that match is if you were to retire early. What if you're wanting to retire early before 59 and a half and even before 55, because 401ks do have a special rule called the rule of 55 where you could possibly withdraw from them penalty free if you retire at 55 using a 401k rather than the rule of the IRA, which is 59 and a half. Let's say you plan on retiring early, let's say at age 45. Well, rather than contributing to the match to your 401k, you might have other options that you need to prioritize to get yourself ready for early retirement. You might need to beef up a regular taxable investment account. You might want to make more contributions to a Roth IRA because contributions that you make to a Roth IRA are able to be withdrawn tax and penalty free at any time. You might want to pay off your mortgage. Taking the money from your 401k contribution and putting it towards paying off your mortgage early might be more beneficial for you in order to retire early. Maybe you need to build up a large savings to enter retirement so you have a large amount of cash savings so you feel a lot more comfortable in your early retirement by having that cash savings. And instead of continuing to contribute to your 401k and get that match, maybe you really want to beef up that savings. Or how about this? You have maybe some other debt that you need to pay off. Maybe you have student loans. Maybe you have an auto loan that you need to pay off. Maybe some credit card debt or something like that. And you just really need to pay it off first. The point is, there are many scenarios in which if you were to retire early, you might want to put that cash flow towards something else rather than the 401k match, even if it was a good immediate return. And what about other financial priorities or other goals? Sometimes the goal is not to necessarily maximize the amount of return that we make on our investments. Sometimes the goal is to rather do something else. What if you need some extra cash flow in order to save to have a really good trip, a really good vacation? Or what if you've reached that point of coast-fi for now you have enough saved in your investments and you don't need to contribute anymore and you can have a comfortable retirement. So now you can ease up and spend your money instead. Then you might not need to go after that 401k match. What if you're trying to buy your next home? What if you really need to save up for a down payment? You might need all the cash flow you can get in that case, and therefore you might have to take some from that 401k match. The point is that the 401k match is not the end all be all. You have to contribute to it. You have to get that 401k match. It's always the right move to make. There are some situations and some nuances that say maybe the 401k match is not where you should be putting your money. Maybe you should be putting it towards something else. And that is what I hope that we have cleared up in this video today. If you are curious to see how your 401k at your work matches up, boy, do I have the video for you, okay? I'm gonna put it in the link in the comment below and it'll pop up on the screen right after I get off the screen. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm Zach from OnCashflow.com and I hope to see you next time. Maybe you should, but there's also the, because you also want to have a significant from your 401k. Thank you very much.